I don't want anybody there. I don't want anybody in this company who is uncomfortable with what we're doing. We're doing weird and I am definitely out of the mold. There's no question. I'm doing things that are completely non-standard. And I'm sure the industry thinks I'm an idiot. That's fine. They've been doing that for 8 years. And I'm going to continue on the way I'm doing, but I'm not going to force people to join my religion if they don't want to.
I test something with people in it. I don't understand that. To me, it was just sheer arrogance.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear. Thoughts build up until I can't. My mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear.
Hello and welcome to True Crime Rocket Science. The highly anticipated Netflix documentary on the 2023 OceanGate explosion is out now. And one of the seminal moments is this one. This audio recording where you have Stockton Rush basically admitting what a maverick he is in his own words. You know, he knows what people think of him. He's saying, I'm going to persist regardless. I'm going to get rid of people who disagree with me. It is an extraordinary recording. Let's listen to some more of it.
Is there a keyword?
We need David on this crew. In my opinion, we need him here.
King Stockton's made a decision. I just feel a tad let down right now with your comments. I'm pretty gutted, to be honest with you. This is the first time on paper I've ever put any health and safety concerns. And by God, Stockton, you know, every expedition we've had issues. And I've been there for you. Every single expedition.
I'm not denying that.
I love the way he says, I'm not denying that. That there have been safety issues or issues on every single dive. I'm not denying that, and yet that is exactly what he was doing.
I didn't know what to say, but I was blown away that at this point they were willing to play Russian roulette.
Before we get to the rest of this review of the Netflix documentary, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do. Bear in mind there's a playlist with almost 100 episodes on it. I'll put a link to that in the description. If you're finding this analysis worthwhile, meaningful, interesting, please do hit the thanks button and let's get started.
Every 3 to 4 minutes, there was loud gunshot-like noises. It's a heck of a sound to hear when you're that far under the ocean in a craft that has only been down that deep once before.
You know, even when Lockridge is fired, he's mild-mannered and charming. He even says, I'm a tad gutted. He's kind of understated, which is very different to Stockton, who's really over the top. And think about it, Lockridge had a lot invested in Russia's scheme. I think most people would be pretty emotional. And I mean, after all, he'd uprooted himself and his family to move to Scotland, to the far side of the continental USA. Now this guy is giving him the boot. Titan, the OceanGate submersible disaster, delves into the accounts of staff members, not just Lockridge but others. That gives us a lot more context to what was really going on behind the scenes. And obviously the events that led to the Titan submersible implosion. You know, it's not just something random that happened. There were real dynamics playing out towards an inevitable denouement. And I mean, all of this led to the deaths of 5 people. You know, in true crime, we often deal with crimes and there's seldom a body count of 5. In this analysis, we re-examine the meltdown between Rush and Lockridge that led to his firing. Did you guys know about that? Anyone remember what it was? It was the moment Rush literally threw the controller at Lockridge, swearing at him. This was underwater, after he'd crashed the sub into another wreck, not the Titanic, another wreck, and couldn't get loose. By the way, they actually got stuck behind the Titanic in another incident. And I think in that case, PH Nargile got them out. I covered that in this video published around a year ago. You can view the entire playlist here. The contentious relationship between Lockridge and the CEO came to a head, this is according to The Independent, when Rush steered the sub into a dangerous position during a trip to the SS Andrea Doria wreckage ahead of the Titan tour. An incident the former sub-pilot said was a complete turnaround and resulted in the end of their relationship. In other words, he's just saying that Stockton kind of made like a complete U-turn. And think about people that are like that just switch on a dime. Do you really want to trust your fate to a person like that in this sort of situation? What happened here was that Stockton lost face. He was humiliated. He was embarrassed. And then like a child, kind of had a tantrum. And then he just got rid of someone who meant well, someone who was very well qualified. You hear someone in the background of that audio saying, we need him. And they did. But, in one instance, he's made to feel smaller. And Lockridge raising these safety concerns is making him feel smaller as well. And what is he wanting? He's wanting to feel larger. He's wanting to be larger than life. And this person's in his way. Just get rid of him. And this is the essence of entitlement, wanting to have your way even when your way is the wrong way and you know it. Probably in Stockton's whole life, he was used to defying the rules in the way a lot of privileged people can and do, but without serious consequences. Perhaps in even doing that, it even felt positive. That whenever he did that, he felt better about himself, that was the right way to go, because not only did he know better, he was better. He was more gifted, smarter, came from this almost royal bloodline. And so didn't he ultimately know better than anyone else? What do you think the answer is? This may have worked in his former life, but playing Maverick with submersible tech, which is an established science, they don't need to reinvent the wheel here. It was literally like Russian roulette, and the cyclical fatigue becomes like loading the gun with another bullet each time they go down, and then spinning the cylinder once more. At a certain point, it's like spinning the cylinder with a full quota of bullets inside, pulling the trigger and expecting a safe ride. That's not smart, it's lunacy. According to The Independent, in one clip taken from inside the sub, Rush is seen almost crashing the vessel into a debris field, forcing Lockridge to intervene. According to a review in the New York Times, quote, audio recordings capture Rush in fits of frustration, alongside startling footage of him cutting corners during an expedition. Close enough, he declares, after reaching 3,939 meters on a dive meant to hit the 4,000-mile milestone. So you kind of get the sense that he lost his nerve. And think about it. Do you want a pilot? Do you want to entrust your fate to someone who is having fits of frustration? And I think someone who is grandiose is someone who can inspire you. You get caught up in his vision. You get inspired by that. But do you really want to be with someone like that on the top of Everest? And I think in a real sense, going down in the sub was like going to Everest, except you didn't really need to do anything. You just let gravity do its thing. And there's some images of people holding flags next to the Titanic, being viewed through the window. But it's actually very different. The Titanic's a graveyard. The top of Everest is kind of like a symbol of human endeavor. And people were trying to make this the same thing. But then add to that the haunting soundtrack of carbon fibers breaking, constantly breaking at depth, and then one appreciates the case for giving this well-known story another look. Grandiosity, that's an opposite word for this dude, isn't it? What is it? It's an impressive and imposing appearance or style. That's exactly what he is. But it's often pretentious as well. And it deals with things like ambition, ostentatiousness, boldness, but sometimes in a foolish way. Stockton's basically just very pretentious, which is to say inauthentic, which is to say, isn't it dishonest about reality? And what happens when we defy reality for long enough?
Nothing good.
According to The Independent, Lockridge, OceanGate's former director of marine operations, held reservations about the vessel's carbon fiber hull, and he said he only entered the project on the assumption that the Titan sub would become classed, meaning it would be independently certified as safe. And I think Stockton knew that was never going to happen, which I think is a pretty damning indictment in itself. Stockton wasn't interested in that. He thought he could do what Elon Musk was doing with rockets, basically a move fast and break things philosophy. And with a name like Rush, he seemed fated to do that. But the crushing depths of the ocean are merciless when it comes to disobeying the laws of physics. It eventually became a statistical certainty, not if but when, just a matter of time before Stockton's ego yielded to reality.
And I'm sure the industry thinks I'm an idiot. That's fine. They've been doing that for 8 years.
The industry thinks I'm a fucking idiot. That's fine. I've been doing that, or they've been doing that for 8 years, but he was doing that for 8 years, being a fucking idiot for 8 years. And now the whole world, almost the whole world, don't they think the same thing about him as well? What do you think? Have you watched the Netflix documentary? Let me know in the comments. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you guys next time.